with that all said and done, I'm going to get started on moving your business into the future. You know, I heard last night on the news, times they are changing. Yes, they are. It is time that we pivot so we persevere in business. I really don't think it's going to be exactly like it was before COVID-19 hit us. Now, yeah, it's times they are changing, but that's one thing we have right now is time. Time is of the essence. What we need to do right now is work on and for our business and its health and well-being, moving it on into the future. Therefore, I'm going to share with you 7 things that you can do right now to help you move your business forward. The first, prioritize your business essentials. Get your house in order. I mean, I've heard so many small businesses say, oh, my bookkeeping is a mess. Get it in order right now. Get your operational systems in place. When you consider how you are going to pivot, get those systems into place. Manage your cash flow. Keep money coming into the business even though you're closed. Get creative on how to do that. Online sales and communicating with your customer. There's an example that I have where one of my clients sells home accessories. He went online and used and learned how to take fabulous photos, and he's gone around the store, posted on Instagram, and now he is selling his home accessories online through Instagram and delivering them right to the house. That's number 1. Number 2, limit your expenses. Now's the time, yes, to hoard your cash. Cut the non-essential expenses such as credit card, travel, payroll and bonuses, putting money into 401k. Cut those, okay? Limit inventory purchases. If you are a seasonal business, you might want to look at what you still have in inventory. I've got a client who is planning on Mother's Day and Father's Day events and ordering special things for those special occasions. And what they're going to do is just use what they've got and repackage it a little bit and make it special that way. Another thing, don't navigate this alone. You have a whole network of expertise and experts around you. Utilize them. Connect up with your attorney, your CPA, your business advisor. Utilize them. You're not alone. Number 3, get creative. I mean, that is what being an entrepreneur is all about. Get creative in how you think. Before this session began, I wish you all could have heard all of the creative things that Sean was sharing with Katie about what they could do and everything. Now is the time to do that. Look at what is needed out there. And if you can pivot your business into providing what is needed, by all means, pivot. Take your work skills and talents and abilities and meet that need. For example, I have another client out there who was doing alterations and tailoring in her shop. Her shop is shut, but what is she doing now? She is one of those ladies out there making those masks for us to wear, and she's selling those online. Keep in mind, though, in all you do, your true job is to keep money coming in. I've got a lot to cover, so I've got notes. So if you see me leaning forward, I'm turning the page here. Number 4, look beyond the PPP and the EIDL for loans, monies, okay? There are many other access to capital resources out there, and that information, Ellen Harvey, another certified business advisor on staff here at the SBDC, presented that program on Wednesday, I think. Yeah, on Wednesday. That pre-recorded presentation is also located now on our website at www.sbdccolumbus.com, and just click on COVID-19, and I believe her video is the first one that you will come to. Tons of other access to capital resources that you can hone in on. Number 5, consider last resort funding options. For example, your home is almost free and clear of debt. You might want to think of refinancing it, taking a second mortgage out, or taking a home equity line of credit out on it. You might also want to ask family and friends for a small loan, especially if it's small, okay? But when it comes to loans, I also want to put this red light, beware light. There are companies out there known as microloan companies who offer fast cash, quick money, and you get it right away. But let me tell you, please don't click yes until you read the fine print, because the majority of those that you hear of on TV are, yeah, they're quick money, but the interest that you pay is higher than any other interest rate that you would pay through an official microlender or a bank, because they call it a fee instead of interest. Not only that, they will you will give them access to your account, and they will either take weekly payments or daily payments out of your account. So, beware, please, of that. Number 6, start preparing today for tomorrow. We've got to keep in mind that this too shall pass, and we will live as entrepreneurs to fight another day. Be prepared to take control. What do you need to take control of first? Your business. Know your financial situation. If you've had employees in the past and you've laid them off, stay in contact with them. Stay in touch with them. Why? Because once you reopen, you may really need them to come back to work for you. And never forget the needs of your people. What do I mean by that? The needs of your staff, your employees, the needs of your team, and the needs of your customers. Communicate with them and let them know you care, okay? That is one of the main messages that is coming out in all of the commercials that you see on TV and everything that you read online. Show them that you care, empathize, and be with them. Now, this leads me to number 7, and that is focusing on your customer right now and communicating with them. In doing so, I want you to remember, as I start this, I want you to remember 3 words and 1 important premise. Those 3 words are engage, inspire, and educate. The main premise I want you to remember is, in doing all of that, stay true to your brand and your brand message and show you care, okay? Let's see, yeah, sure. You can use your customer's email. How do you do it? You can use your customer email list that you have, or you can hop on to any social media platform and start blurting out the message, here we are. But if that's where your mind went, you really have jumped the gun. You must know who, to be effective in this new coming world of marketing, you must know who your target market is. Who do you want to reach out and touch? Do you know who your target market is? I mean, really, ask yourself, write that down. Who is my target market? It cannot be anybody, everybody. Okay? If you want to be the end all to meet all to anybody, everybody, what you are going to soon find out is that you are spending a lot of time, a lot of money, selling nothing to nobody. Define your target market demographically. Age, wage, education, family structure, home ownership, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You've got to know who your target market is. Define them demographically, and here are 2 reasons why. Number 1, it's essential to know that demographic, to find them and connect up with them on any social media platform that really will bring you the true end results you so desire. And secondly, each demographic set has what's known as its own psychographic. There's demographics and there's psychographics. What are psychographics? Psychographics answer the question of what do they do, with whom they do, how often they do, what makes them tick when they come to me and they buy from me. What is it they really are buying? You've got to know that. You've got to know them. Not what you offer, but why. So when you develop your communication messages, you can communicate with them and not talk at them or to them. You need to engage them. Ask yourself then, therefore, when they buy from me, what is it they really are buying? What is it they really want? Okay? Let me give you some examples. I have a client, former client now, who was in lawn mowing, a lawn mowing service. He came to me and said, Nancy, just what I'm trying to do, it's just not working. His target market was the upper echelon residential areas around golf courses, okay, those golf communities. His message was, providing you with timely, affordable service, and here we are. After working with him, and I have to tell you, he's really, really busy now, okay? His target market was the upper echelon income maker living in golfing communities, okay? His tagline now is, so-and-so lawn mowing services, where we assure your Saturdays are spent on the right green. Hello, what is it that those people living on that golf course really want? They want to go play golf, right? Another example, back in the 70s, early 80s, childcare was coming into play, and the thing that really attract those moms and dads were messages where bring your child, for example, this was KinderCares. Bring your child to KinderCare, the safe, secure place where your child will be loved, taught, and trained, just like you would if you could have. But we here at KinderCare understand you have to work. So bring your child to KinderCare, the safe, secure place where your child will be loved, taught, and trained, just like you would if you could. Okay? With that, KinderCare failed to stay up on top of the psychographic of their demographic. The demographic really hasn't changed, but the psychographic of that demographic now has. Safe, secure? Oh, honey, if it isn't safe, secure now, I'm not taking my child there. What are the most successful child care companies really promoting? Here's basically how I put it. They're promoting, oh, please make my child an Einstein before he enters kindergarten, okay? The education, and that's where the focus is. I want to leave you with one last example, and that is mine. I could sit here and go, hi, I'm Nancy Stahl. I'm a certified business advisor and the special programs coordinator for the Ohio Small Business Development Center, Columbus State. What do? Well, I provide you with one-on-one consulting advisory services. I deal with anything from pre-venture, got an idea, but I need help doing it, to as long as you don't employ with 500 people, I'm here to help you. I also develop some workshops and seminars. I conduct workshops and seminars. I also head up some special programs for the center that stop. If you haven't fallen asleep by now, I don't know why you wouldn't. It's all about me. Let me do it again and see which one you respond to. Hi, I'm Nancy Stahl. I'm a certified business advisor for the Ohio Small Business Development Center at Columbus State. What do? Oh, if you're an entrepreneur, I do everything in my power to empower your passion for business success. That's what I do. Which one do you respond to? The first one or the second one? You create your messages so it communicates with them. Okay? You're not talking at them. You're not talking to them. You are communicating with them. Identify what is most important to your target market and focus your message on giving them what they desire, what they really want. There's another example of I'm putting together this table and I've got to drill this hole, but I need this size bit. I have every size bit there is, but the one I need. So I hop in my car, I go to Lowe's, go down Hardware Aisle, there's that bit. Take that bit up to the register, answer me this question. What am I really buying? I know you're saying, well, the bit. No, go deeper. The bit is just the tool that gets me what I want. What do I really want? Some of you are thinking, well, she wants her table. Go deeper. I am buying that bit because I want that hole. I am buying that hole that will finally give me what I want. Why do I really stress why? Here's why. Ready? Because the why of the buy, not your why, their why, always drives the buy. Got it? Write that one down. I think that's pretty good. The why of the buy always drives the buy. These messages speak to what they're really wanting, to their emotional desires, to the heart of it all. That's what I really, really want. A woman buys, 9-inch stiletto shoes because it makes her leg look sexy. I would buy them because I'm only 4'9"3/4". Don't forget the quick 3/4. They're very important. That's very important. But it'd make me taller, okay? It might be uncomfortable shoes, but it would make me tall. Thank you very much. Start with these types of messages, these messages that speak to their why and what they truly are buying. Why do I say that? Here's why. And this is where the 3 words and the premise come into play. 1, here's why. You have got to engage your consumer. If you, going back to my first introduction, if you only talk about you and how you're going to do for them, what you want to do, and what it's going to cost, and it's quality and you know, customer service, and it's just great, and you need to call us. It's going to be like trying to talk to, I do this to a teenage boy, and you're trying to tell them, no, you can't do that, and here's why. And he's going, Mom, talk to this, because this ain't listening. Okay, but if you identify their why and the true purpose that will ignite their engagement, you know, given this is what you really want, do you understand that doing this will get you that? So listen, engage them. It's all about them and what they truly desire. That's your message. And I use it 3 times. Engage, engage, engage. Why 3 times? By the end of, well, the latter part of 2020, going into 2022, close to 90% of all purchases will be done on our phones. Okay, right now, yes, we sit at our laptops and our fingers, just like the Yellow Pages used to say, our fingers do the walking. They still do, but it's not through pages, it's on our computer. By the end of mid-2021, about 90% of all purchases will be done by our thumbs. Answer me this question. If, in fact, you go to someone's website and you are on your phone, and the first is always really engaging because that's your homepage and it's exciting and colorful and everything. But as you scroll, that's engage. You scroll, engage, and if it turns only to words, and then you scroll again and it's still words, I have asked hundreds of people this. If that's what happens to you when you do that, what do you do after that 3rd time? 99% of them say, I go somewhere else. You can't allow that to happen. You need to engage, okay? Make it visual, make it all about them. Change the font size, change the colors, add a picture, okay? Keep them engaged visually and use minimal words. Yes, we have become a society that doesn't like to read, okay? Pictures paint 1,000 words. Videos are awesome. Use them. Keep them engaged. Through that engagement, next, inspire them. Make them start thinking, oh, wow, this too can be me. Oh, wait, that's exactly what I want in my house. Oh, it looks so good. I want that. Okay? I need it. Then, and only then, can you finally, once you've engaged, inspired, you've led them down that funnel so they want more information and they're ready to be educated. Don't start your marketing messages trying to educate right away. You will lose them. Engage, inspire, and then educate. They'll want to listen. I have this favorite saying, you must capture the heart before the emotion, before you can ever hope to hold the ear that will listen, so you can finally educate the brain, okay? In all you do, keep that in mind. You have to, quote unquote, I know this is the science of marketing, okay? You have to sell to the emotion because it captures the heart. Think back at all of the commercials when you're listening to that big football game at the beginning of the year. You know, can't remember what it's called. But anyways, that big football game, okay? How do they capture us? With humor, with emotion, with insightfulness that makes us start, wow, thinking. That's what your messages have to do. And in all of this, stay true to your brand. Stay true to yourself. And keep in mind in all you do, those those things: engage, inspire, educate, be true to your brand, and watch what happens. You got to remember, in doing all of this, one of my other favorite sayings, honey, if you want to know the secret of marketing, if you want to know the secret of being successful in business, keep this one thing in mind. Honey, it ain't all about you. It's about who you serve, and always putting that customer first in all you do and in all you say. Once you have this basically all put together and your mess, you know who your target market is, you can you found out what makes them tick and what they really, really want. And there's demographic research that you can do on that target market. And Sean, I will send you a link from the public library. They are doing one-on-one Zoom, virtual Skype, one-on-ones, and the research resource at the library will take you step by step, and she will guide you through going and finding out that demographic information that you need, okay? But once you have that all basically put together and your messaging ready, it's time to go put them on in the email and all those other social media platforms. And that's when I hand it over to Tanya Wilson, because she is our expert certified business advisor on staff, and she's here to provide you with her insightful information and some directives and some guidance on utilizing those various tools known as social media. Tanya?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for allowing us to be here and share our services from our center and information today that we hope will be helpful for you. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if I can do that. Let's see here. Yeah. And I'm not sure. Let's see here. Hold on. Okay. So I'm going to, again, share my screen. Wasn't going to work with the PowerPoint presentation, but it will work with a PDF. So there you go. So for social media, as Nancy was just saying, with all the information that she talked about in terms of determining your target market, which is the most important thing, and creating your brand and your messaging. When you start to think about using social media, what I find in working with clients is when I have clients come in, a lot of times if they have a product or a service that where there is an actual need for that product or service in the market, and they are not being successful typically, or their success is sporadic. Typically it's because they don't have a marketing plan directed at using social media, and the marketing that they're doing is sporadic. So they're getting success kind of associated with how they're marketing. So the key to getting success in your business is creating a marketing plan and deploying that marketing plan consistently. So social media is just one strategy for your business. When you really want to be successful in marketing, you want to take an integrated approach where you're going to use you're going to look at your website as one strategy, social media as another, networking with the chamber and other entities like that, where you can meet other business professionals, especially if you're a B2B, is important. Doing PR work is also another strategy. So you want to have an integrated strategy, but here we're talking only about social media. On this slide here, the key thing to remember here is what I have in red, which is relationship built between the customer and the brand. So when you're using social media, this is really where you want to connect with your customer. They know that they can go to your website and find out all the little detailed information about what you can get from you, and what services and what products that you have available. But your goal in using social media is to develop that relationship, to create trust through your communication. So you always want to make sure that you're going to be transparent and honest. the internet is a vast thing that they can, you know, verify information on. So trust and transparency is very important, and consistency of action. Those are the two main things that you really want to work on when you're building up your marketing plan and focusing on this as a strategy. Also, of course, you want to use it to build your brand identity and create a positive brand association between your brand and the client. But right now, especially in the times that we're in, you want to be moving forward and also trying to grab business as quickly as possible. So definitely focus on trust of communication and being consistent. There you go. So the next thing is I like to show is a funnel. And so if you look at this funnel, this kind of shows you how someone would move through when they are doing social media. And so if this is like a typical sales funnel you have here, and hopefully you can see my mouse kind of moving around. The top of the funnel will show social media, and that's typically kind of like you can say a lot of times where people find you. The blog is another place where they can get additional information, especially if your product or service is more complex and you need more time to kind of explain things to them and also educate them on what your product or service is. And then always your website or really your point of conversion is going to be the last place that they're going to touch before they drop down and actually convert to a sale. And so somewhere people are always going to use, and you always think about this as yourself. So always look to yourself as how do you make a purchase? And so when you are making a purchase, typically you're going to use some type of social media or like reviews. I was going to say Web 2.0, but that's a little outdated, but some type of reviews in connection with that product or service. So if you think of it, when you have a restaurant and maybe you're in a new town and you looked up like, what is a good restaurant near me? You may see the website and say, oh, this looks like, it's a good Mexican food restaurant. It's close by. And then you pop out the social media to see what's really going on. So that's where you're going to see the reviews from customers. You're going to see, hopefully they have some videos shot inside the restaurant that you could look at. You'll see photos of where people are sharing photos of food. And this is really where it's going to convince you like that your experience and the product or service that you're looking for is going to be what you expect what the website is saying. And so somewhere, like typically if you find it on the website, then you may jump to social media to kind of verify what you're seeing. And then once you're convinced, you're like, oh yeah, this looks like a good, restaurant to go to. Let me go back to the website, find out where they are, what their menu is, how can I contact them, and you'll convert. So that's kind of how social media and websites go hand in hand. This is something I always share, I hoping everyone here has their website today. But basically these are the things that it was imperative that you have before going out on social media. And so Nancy already covered the target market. That is very important because you don't know who you're talking to. So you can't create a campaign or create messaging for someone, if you don't know. So if your, market is going out to 20-year-olds, you're going to say one thing versus that if they're, 45 and up, each of those groups are going to be motivated by different things, and you got to know what that thing is so that you can speak about that. Your established brand identity. So what your brand is, but what your mission is about, what you're trying to convey. If you're about quality, you want to make sure that your messaging says you're about quality. But most importantly, when you're on social media, you need to give them someplace to do, someplace to go and someplace to convert. And how can they get in contact with you? How can they buy your product? Because you're going to be creating demand on social media. And so then they need a place to convert. So always make sure you have your conversion place created first before you jump out to social media. This presentation is typically a 3-hour presentation. I've tried to cut it down to about 15 minutes here today. And so I'm trying to skimming through these 5 different parts. And so when you create your plan before you go out on social media, you want to think about doing your objectives and goals, which we'll talk about in a second. Of course, creating or updating your social media pages. That's determined by who your audience is. Deciding your messaging and voice. Nancy talked a lot about your messaging. And then creating a content calendar and then testing and evaluating. Content calendar is going to help you be consistent and have that consistent messaging that I mentioned in the beginning when we talked about the description. So like with any plan, you want to make sure that you are creating some kind of goal and write it as a SMART goal. So you want to be able to measure your success on social media. So if you go out, if you've ever gone out and put a post out there and then got frustrated because you didn't feel like you got what you were paying for, or if you do a paid thing, you want to make sure that you set up a goal and see what is success going to look like. And so if I'm going to use Facebook, what am I hoping to get out of Facebook? In this example, we're showing an Instagram one. And so this individual wants 50 new followers per week. And so that is something that they could measure. And so typically if you have a new business, and two of the basic goals most people will have is building awareness, so that you can grab new customers who don't know who you are. And then the other one, of course, usually is generating leads. And so you would want to be able to say, well, what does that look like? Is the lead more traffic to your website? Is the lead, is it any kind or signups for your newsletter? That can be a lead. So you want to create these goals for yourself so that you can help you be more intentional as the different type of marketing that you do as you move forward. When you create your social media platforms, the platforms, are usually fairly, I want to say fairly intuitive, but once you go, on there, if you haven't created them, they'll ask you, of course, for your name and company name, company information, upload photos. And so just kind of follow the direction of the platform. You want to make sure your platforms are filled out completely. This is going to help you with individuals being able to find you. Make sure your profiles are on brand. And so you want to use all the same images, same logos on all your social media platforms that's on your website, so people know it's you. And cross-promoting versus cross-posting. Cross-promoting means that if you're using multiple social media platforms, you want to write your content in the personality of the platform. So Facebook is more casual, LinkedIn is business. And so you want to make sure that you write accordingly. This is just an example of how it looks like when there are multiple entities that are on brand. And so this is Haven Creative, I think, or Haven Collective. It's a local co-working space, sorry. And this is their website. And then what they've done is they've taken their logo and images on their website and then put those on their Facebook page, their LinkedIn page, and their Instagram page so that they all have a consistent look. On social media, once you know who your customer is, like Nancy was talking about the demographics and the psychographics. And so if your customer, say, is your best customer, is say a 45-year female, who lives in Central Ohio, makes $75,000 a year or $50,000 a year. Then once you have that information, then you go and you look at the platforms. This comes from Pew Research. They do a survey every year, and I think I need to update one. I think they may have did one in sometime in 2019. But this shows you by far, Facebook and YouTube are going to be some of your best channels. And they are the most heavily used channels out of all of these other ones. The next closest one is that Instagram. And so I always recommend that everyone have a Facebook page. If you do video, because video is also, as Nancy was saying, is one of the heaviest used mediums. And then and always have a LinkedIn page as well. Even though LinkedIn sets down here at 25, people use that LinkedIn to vet you. And so they look up, if they're going to have a meeting with you, they come find you on that LinkedIn page. That's where B2B is always going to, that's going to be their primary channel. Any kind of business to business is going to be the LinkedIn. And you as a business owner is synonymous with your company. And so you want to make sure that you have yourself out there and out there as well. These are the platforms by demographic. And so you can find this information on the individual platforms. Again, this comes from that Pew Research report. And it will show you here that, so from men, 68% of, this is all the US adults, that did the survey over 18. And so 68% are on Facebook, 73% on YouTube. it shows the breakdown, you know, for men and women. So 62% for men, 74% for women on Facebook. It gives you a good, you know, cross section. There's only, you know, only 3 races, you know, and ethnicities present here, but it shows you the breakdown on that. This actually helped us a lot at the SBDC with our Latino Center. We were able to look at this and see that, and also, you know, from our Latino advisors experience, we could see that Latinos heavily use Facebook. And so we were able to reach them by putting more of our information on Facebook. And so this really helped. And then this also shows the breakdown of the age. This is a big way of how you choose your platform. If you know your audience is going to be, you know, between the ages of 30 and 49, 78% of them will be on Facebook. And versus like over here on Instagram, maybe only 40%, Snapchat, 26%. So there's no need for you to spend, you know, your time and energy on these other platforms if that's not where your audience is. You only want to be where your audience is. Second page just shows a little bit more demographic in terms of the high school breakdown, or the educational breakdown, geographical location, and income. And these are slides that I can make available. I can send this to the chamber, and they can make this available for you. In terms of the when you're creating the marketing plan, these are some things that you want to consider. The basic thing is when you're doing your social media strategy plan, is who is your audience for each type of content, and so what type of content would you post, how often would you post, who will create the content, how will you promote the content. You can click this link when we send the presentation out. It'll tell you like how often. Typically, like a Facebook, you could get away with posting 3 to 5 times a week, up to a maximum of 2 times a day. At that point, you'll start to lose your followers, but this will give you an idea. Ultimately, you're going to go after your own group, but initially this will just tell you, give you some ideas on how often to post, and then what you'll want to do is watch the reaction of your actual customers. They may want to see more often from you, or they may want to see less. You just want to keep an eye on your analytics, and you'll be able to get that feedback pretty quickly. But this is important as to you know, what content you're going to put on each platform. Again, like I was saying, LinkedIn is professional. And so you want to make sure that anything there is in a professional realm. So talking about talking to other business owners, or talking about how to do business in your type of business, like maybe if you're a restaurant resources. And then on Facebook, you're talking directly to your customers who would be using that. The big part of all the work that's going to be put in is going to be that content counter. This is how you are consistent. And so you'll determine the dates and times that you want to post on each platform from up here in the recommendations. And then you'll want to make sure on their content calendar, you're going to include everything that you want to put into a post. So images, links to blogs, everything. I'll show you an example in a second. And that will help you organize yourself. Consider using, when you're trying to figure out what am I going to be posting all the time, in addition to your campaigns, or in addition to other, you know, other things that you want to talk about, always consider looking at the National Day calendar. And that's the one where you see like the National French Fry Day or National Pet Day. But they do have a lot of days that there's a ton of days per day on those calendars. You can just type in National Day calendar and look for days that are associated with your company, that you can associate with your company, your customers, and then also things that you personally enjoy, because that will help humanize your brand. And the reason you want to do this is because lots of people do this. So like you'll see these days are trending, and so people will use the hashtags from these days. So National Pet Day, you'll see people posting all over on social media pictures of themselves with their pet, or just with their pet, and they're using that hashtag. If someone searches that hashtag, then anyone who says anything using that hashtag will come up. And so you could actually be discovered in a hashtag search, which is why those are important. And then also looking at healthcare awareness months, like things like National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. That is something that almost every business, everyone celebrates or supports. And so that would be a good one. And so just pick you don't have to pick ones that are important to you. And then you would want to create your calendar and use that to you can to monitor everything, but then also you can use it to schedule messaging in advance. This is an example of a content calendar. And so it's just an Excel sheet, or, you know, if you use Google, you can use Google Sheets. And so you've gone in, you just go in and you indicate off a section, you know, for each of the different platforms. Enter in the time that you're going to do it, what type of content. And this is just a way that you're laying out. So you're not waking up every morning, you know, stressing about what you're going to post that day. You've thought about it ahead of time, and you've been strategic about it. And so you create that. There are links down here at the bottom that will take you to multiple different types of these templates. Both links will have free downloads that you can find. Firefly Digital has a really nice one, and along with some additional information. So you could click on those. You can also manage all this. A lot of times I get the question of like, how am I supposed to manage all of this, you know, when I got to run the business? One way is that if you're using like multiple platforms, like up to 3, is to use a tool called Hootsuite. And Hootsuite is just one tool out there where you can connect all your social media and you manage all your social media from the one platform. And so you can schedule everything here versus scheduling everything on the individual platforms, and then it can just go out. So if you have a week of content that you want to schedule, you can sit down, grab a cup of coffee like on a Sunday or something, sit down, go ahead and schedule out all of your posts for that week, and then you're done. All you have to do is go on about your day and week and work, and then just pay attention to your smartphone. And so that if someone responds to your post as they are posting, you can respond. And so, but this will help you, the content calendar will help you manage all of that. And once it's created, it'll be a lot easier for you. And then finally, you know, the big thing is that really is to create it and jump out there. And then you want to test, evaluate, and adjust. That's going to be your constant all the time. So you want to track your Facebook and insights as to what's going on. So you'll post something and then you'll watch and see what happens. Typically, what I notice is that there's typically a pattern. Like if our Facebook page will have basically, most people will say, you'll have a standard base of people who will look at everything that you do. So let's say you have a standard base of 200 people that look at every post that you do. And then occasionally you'll post something and all of a sudden you'll see the amount of people who look at it jump, you know, to like 500 or 700 people. At that point, you want to take note and think like, okay, well, what was it about this post that they preferred over my regular post? And so then that way you can give them more of that. Google Analytics is a free tool that you can use to attach your website and all of your platforms, and will tell you how you're finding traffic, and it'll give you a lot of information. There's also training on the Google website for that. And so you just want to constantly, you know, do what you're doing, analyzing it, seeing what your results are, and then adjusting. And eventually you'll find the sweet spot. So sorry to run through that. I just wanted to, like I said, this is like typically a 3-hour seminar class that I do. And so I tried to hit the high points. But hopefully that information made sense, and hopefully it is helpful to you.
Well, this is Sean. I just want to tell you thank you, Nancy. I wasn't sure if you were going to step in there for a second, but the Chamber really does appreciate our relationship with the SBDC and with everyone there, and we thank you for your time today. Thank you for everyone who participated in the webinar, or the what is this actually called? Zoominar? I don't know. And thank you, Katie, for your tech support. I hope you got a lot of good information. I really thought that was very, very helpful information. And as we do move forward, it's great stuff to put in our arsenal of information. So thank you again. And I hope you guys will have a great weekend. Next week, we've got a couple of fun, I'm calling it Zoominars. We have one on Tuesday with the owner and the brewer at Grove City Brewing, who are going to talk about being creative in the light of challenges. And interestingly enough, on Thursday, we have Christy Laffin, who owns the Farm to Table on 62, who is also going to be talking a little bit about thinking out of the box and being creative. So I hope you guys will sign up for those. Katie, I think those either are out to register for or will be soon. I'm not sure. But anyway, we'll look forward to seeing you or hearing you then. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Great day.
Fine.